couple weeks now.
Okay. I think maybe live. Come on. No, not yet.
Yeah, it says you're recording on my end, Chuck.
Oh,
Recording, but not live.
It has a live thing next to it as well.
yeah. It's just preparing up there. Okay, so like 5 seconds.
I
We
usually
should.
get a notification on my phone when it starts.
Bam. We have to be live now. Okay. It says it's setting up. So I'm gonna assume that we're live. So little ground rules for the evening, like usual. The new pitch of, hey, I'm gonna share my screen and do some initial housekeeping. We need you guys to hit this invite button right here and bring some more amazing humans to the page. That's it for that screen share for the evening. That's it for the pitch. Don't be a Blue Falcon. Everybody knows what that is. If you're like a 2011 and newer kind of person or something like that, Tim, you're still active duty during that time frame. Welcome to Battle Buddies Live, guys. We have some special, amazing guests with us this evening. Outside of the normal realm of humans that are here, and we do keep in mind pronouns here, Tim and Amberly. So we try to neutralize that stuff because of Mr. Potato Head. We've got Tim Perry from Accenture and Amberly Martin this evening from Accenture as well. And they're going to go over a couple of basic types of things on maybe how to make contact with them if you're interested, and kind of those initial steps and how they look. I'll let Zach introduce himself real quick. We always go ladies first and or Marines. So we'll go with Marine lady.
You know, week in, week out, it's never going to get old. Zach Johnson, United States Marine Corps. Hoorah!
Okay, now we'll go number 2, just so we don't have to hear too much hoorah shit.
Back, I'm Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans. I'm an employment specialist with them, combat wounded Marine, Iraq, Afghan vet. If anybody's looking for help with resumes, job seeking, whatever it may be, please find me on LinkedIn. More than happy to help.
And Travis, this is kind of like acne. I'd rather get the whole Marine Corps thing out of the way, get rid of that bad abscess. So if you don't mind introducing yourself, sir.
Hey, they've been trying to do it for many decades, and the Defense Act of 1947 put a cap on that. So sorry, Chuck. Yeah, so anyhow, I'm Travis Dolan. A Marine reservist. I spent 6.5 years active duty in the Marine Corps before switching to the reserves. I work at 3M as a project engineer. I'm a certified project management professional. And I do a lot of veteran networking as kind of like my volunteering on the side. So if you have questions about engineering, 3M, I know some other veteran recruiters as well. I can help you with that. If you want a resume review, I'm happy to do that as well. I usually post my contact information in the chat at the end of the meeting. So thank you.
And now the true lady, Sarah. And then we'll hit Pete and go Accenture people so they can do their thing.
Hi, Sarah Farstead. I'm an operations manager over at Worth Electronics in South Dakota. 11 years Army, 4 active duty, 1 tour through Iraq.
Pete?
Cool beans. Pete, your old pal, Pete Laval here. Your resume authority for the group and founding member, 23 years Air Force, combined into a little time in the sandbox as well. Happy to be here as usual.
And Pete is a published guy, by the way, in Resumes for Dummies as a transition fella.
As a dummy, no.
For the military. So he actually kind of knows what he's talking about a lot. Amberly, do you mind introducing yourself to the Battle Buddy world, please? A little bit about yourself, all that.
Sounds great. So I'm Amberly Martin. I'm a veteran with the Air Force, did 6 years, and after that I came over to Accenture, where I've been working with our military recruiting team. And outside of that, I've been based out of our LA office for the past 4 years, previously out of our Denver office.
And Mr. Perry, last but not least, important fella I've known for several years now.
And it must be something that I left with you as far as something positive, because you keep on reaching out to me and I don't know why. So I do appreciate that. But so Tim Perry, Air Force veteran. I did 14 years in the Air Force and I was medically retired. So I had the 30-day window of growing up and figuring out what I wanted to do. And thankfully, Accenture gave me that opportunity to come in, and they've nurtured me ever since. So I've been with Accenture coming up on 9 years this summer. So it's been something that has been challenging, but both challenging and exciting, just for the simple fact that the program that Amberly and I work on and work with is something that we've started from the very beginning, and to see where it is today is something that's completely amazing. We had a goal set for us about 5 years ago to hit of hiring veterans and spouses of up to 5,000 veterans and spouses by 2020, which we were able to do before Veterans Day of 2020, which was something that was we thought was going to be just impossible based on COVID. But again, thanks to our team and our dedication to what we're able to achieve, it was something that we brought to fruition, and we're looking for our next opportunity to make another impact for our veterans and spouses.
So Tim, if you don't mind, can you kind of explain to the guys on Battle Buddies Live here what it is that you guys do and what role of the recruitment you guys play part of, and kind of clarify what that means to these guys that might be unsure of how to get involved with your process? Yep.
And so we have really two hats that we wear for our team. We are recruiters / sourcers for our programs, which we'll talk about, and then we also are advocates. And so going back to the recruiter / sourcing portion, we have 3 programs that we own within our projects. And the reason for this, it's very hard to take a transitioning veteran and try to find that right alignment into an organization as ours, because again, we are so industry specific in that, and we have these alignments that are challenging. So with entry level, we have the opportunity to build our demand, or our skill sets based on what the business is looking for. And so that's where we really put our focus at. So the one we have from the bottom to the top, our first is going to be our apprenticeship program. So we are actually looking for veterans without a degree. And this is something I think it's really unique to the fact that a lot of times that most organizations, they're always trying to find that person with a degree to move them forward. Especially within some of the IT practices and that. Whereas, we work with the vet tech program that's owned by the VA, and we have that opportunity to take a veteran that's completed a boot camp and allow them to go through a 12-month paid apprenticeship with the objective is to, hopefully transition them into a full-time employee at the end of that 12 months. Again, it's really based on their aptitude and their motivation. And so if they can learn on the fly, be in a team environment and take the mentorship from those around them, they have that opportunity to grow. We have our student veterans program, which I'll let Amberly talk about because she's our PM on that, and she knows a heck of a lot more on it than I do. But we also have our junior military officer program. And so that's one of the ones I think a lot of people really know us for, but that has probably the grayest kind of view on it, because there's this idea of being a consultant. What is a consultant? Everybody has this belief that it's just a problem solver. Somebody can come in, take the information that's provided to them and come up with a solution, but it's much, much more to that. But with our junior military officer program, we have that ability to take those typical 4 to 7 years of operational program project management experience officers and NCOs and help them bridge that gap of the industry portion. Because like I said earlier, industry is really what drives our organization, and trying to become a consultant is based on those industries. So most people coming out of the military, of course, are lacking that because they're used to the federal type of experience. So that's what that program is really designed to do. But again, that's being a sourcer and a recruiter. The advocacy portion comes in the fact that we have so many veterans that have been out of the military for quite a few years. They have experience. They have that alignment to the industries and to locations and that, but they have that also, ability to get lost in the black hole like any other person it's applying to an organization. So we ask, veterans and spouses that if they do find opportunities within our organization, they meet the basic qualifications, they meet the requirements of the location, everything, that they reach out to our team, and we can go out to those teams and have those conversations with the ultimate goal of trying to get them to move forward into the recruiting process. But it's not always the case, because there's variables that happen within recruiting. So the ultimate goal is to turn around and come back to that person and give them that insight, because I think that's the most challenging thing for a lot of people, is just not knowing what the situation is. So if we can at least give them some sort of insight into what the challenges are, what are some of the variables that they're dealing with, maybe they can take a look. Maybe they realize that they left something off the resume. Maybe they didn't express enough information in a specific area. Maybe they just put down Microsoft Office, but didn't put all the different keywords like Excel or PowerPoint or something like that. Just again helping try to define those opportunities to the best of the ability, so those individuals at least know, okay, what is the options for them? Is it something they can continue to move towards, or do they need to find that other opportunity? So that's pretty much a quick rundown. But like I said, I'll throw it over to Amberly, because again, she knows really what's going on within the student veterans opportunity.
Sure. So I'll just do a brief overview of that. So most of our entry-level programs come through some type of development portion at the beginning of your career. This is for all full-time employment. So when you're coming through at some of these entry-level areas, whether it be student veterans, apprentice, the JMO program, most come into some type of consulting development program where you're going to get that on-the-job training, but you're also going to have people coming in helping you as mentors, getting that one-on-one learning, really what the career is. We're not expecting you to come in and take over on day one on a project. So for our student veterans, what we do is around their junior, senior year, we ask them to start really considering where they want to start working. And then the interview process usually happens the fall before they graduate. Get through the interviews, and you come into our consulting development program or our technology development program, and you have about 2 years to be developed into a consultant. So you may have some soft skills, some leadership skills, some tech background, but you're not sure where you want to bring that piece into. We're going to take you and give you that. It's roughly 1.5 to 3 years of experience before you move into the consultant level, and then get to be the person in front of the clients and doing the client-facing work. We do expect people to have their bachelor's degrees by the time they start, but we pretty much take all degrees. We do have a tech component to a few of our programs, but some of my best hires have been people with like psychology degrees, because we're looking at diversity of thought. So when you're coming into a client, you don't just want everybody having the same thought process. We want to challenge and bring different solutions to our clients. So that's a little bit about the consulting development program and our student veteran hiring.
So a couple of questions. Do you guys mind breaking down kind of that process of going from that analyst role that you hire for in the JMO program into that management, and then kind of senior management, MD? Just a really brief overview so people understand when they're looking at the portal what a consultant truly is versus the other two sides of that spectrum.
Sure. Do you want me to take that one, Tim?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So at Accenture, we have a few different levels, but we go from really associate level, which is most people don't have degrees or have some work experience. The next level is analyst. So that's where our degree candidates come in. So consulting development program, things like that. Senior analyst is where our junior military officer program is. And from there, you go to consultant. So before you hit that consultant level, we want you to have experience, but it's mostly that entry level portion of a career. When you hit consultant, you expect to have some industry knowledge. You expect to be able to go up in front of a client and be able to talk a little bit about what their industry needs are, but you're still more on that project management side of the house. And then from consultant goes into the different manager levels, so associate manager, manager, senior manager, and then into our directors, managing directors, principals and leaders, and that's going to be towards the top end. Those are going to be, I would say, the equivalent of like your 06s, right? So somebody that has deep knowledge about a specific area, that can lead and be able to take on a few different clients at the same time.
Okay, so Tim, this is probably more in your wheelhouse. Can you kind of explain when you get the JMO headcount, how that breaks down by market and how you have to budget some of that stuff? I know we ran into that a couple times in the past, sending people over to you, right? So people can kind of understand you're not hiring 800 people in one quarter in one market or across the country or whatever.
Yeah, and so what happens is it's really been designed to align to what we call our market units. So we have four market units across the U.S., and so each market unit will tell us what their head count really is, what they can really kind of assign to. In this program, it is a little bit different to like what Amberly's talking about with the student veterans program, because that one is aligned with our campus opportunity. With the JMO program, we're really trying to find those right areas of alignment. So those individuals are coming in, they have the ability to focus on which industry is going to probably suit them best. And again, that's where we try to figure out when we're looking at our candidates as they go through the process, and that, what is their type of background in that. We get a lot of Navy vets that have that nuclear background. Well, that nuclear background actually fits very well with the resources projects and that. So we try to find that. So it's just a combination of our team working with the market or the location leads and everything, and really trying to understand what is the ask, and then how do we fill properly based on what type of candidates we could deliver for those type of demands. So it's just it's a combination of the business saying this is what we have available, and then our team saying, okay, this is what we could deliver on based on that.
Okay, how about major practice areas within Accenture? I know, are they still going by the pillars? I think it was 5 or 6 when I was there.
So we have Accenture operations, we have Accenture strategy and consulting now. So that's, I think, one of the biggest ones, because we have so many veterans that want to go directly into strategy. But the challenge is how can you focus on strategy if you don't even know what the industry is about? And so we tell people all the time that consulting is, of course, your best place to learn that, because you learn about the clients, you learn about the market, you learn about the competition, and then you have that ability to adapt and start to do the strategic portion. Well, now because of Accenture strategy and consulting being under the same umbrella, we have that ability to make that transition from consulting to strategy. We have Accenture technology, which is a large one for us right now. Again, that's where we're hiring for most of our veterans and spouses. And then we have Accenture Interactive, which took over the digital platform.
So I know about a year and a half ago, one of the big initiatives, and we have a lot of, can I use the word female on here? Or am I going to get grilled again on Battle Buddies for pointing out gender? But I know that Accenture had a big push on women in cybersecurity. Is that still a big push where they're trying to get to 50-50 parity on that within the company?
What is to 2020-25? Is that
that sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, to have a 50-50 gender equality at 2025, yes.
Yeah, so, we get a lot of veterans, that are really advanced within cybersecurity. I don't know what the workforce looks like in the military. I know it's about 17% female. I would assume you start pulling combat arms out of that, it gets closer to 25-ish or something like that. So if you're a woman in cybersecurity, you should probably engage the team that's on here right now, because Tim, don't you make like an extra 50 grand per woman that gets hired over there in cybersecurity with your role? or
I
something.
wish.
Get yourself one of those new hot rods.
Yeah, no, so one of the great things about Accenture is we do have a referral platform. And so what I would recommend doing is anybody's interested in Accenture and they know somebody that's within the organization, go through your LinkedIn, try to connect with those people. People come to me all the time and they want to know everything about the organization. Well, the problem is I'm the gatekeeper. I sit at the door trying to get people through the door, but the reality is what's happening behind the door, I don't have that insight. So, having those conversations with those people actually within the organization would be, number one, give them the ability to understand what's being looked upon, what skills are the required skills, what's the kind of talking points to have during the recruiting process, but also get that referral program going, because if you are a referral, you are a priority candidate, and it really allows the individuals to have that insight. I think that really kind of gives them the confidence, because that's one of the biggest things that's missing for a lot of people as they're coming out of the military, is they don't have the confidence within the conversation. But again, having that ability to work on their strategy and get their talking points together. And it sounds like some of you all on this call, you talk about talking about resumes. That's the key to a conversation. If your resume is not on point, people are going to figure that out pretty quick, especially when they're going through the interview process. But if you have a tight, tailored resume, it's got one path on it, and it really allows the conversation to be led by what you're trying to achieve, that is where these people are going to be successful. But again, that's something that I think is going to be huge for those referral conversations to have, is take a look over it and say, okay, how's this relevant to what's going on here? Why did you put this in your talking points? Does that make sense for what you're trying to achieve? So I definitely recommend that if you are trying to get into the organization, to again do some review, find people that you might know, and if you do reach out to them, don't do the hard sale. I think it's one of the biggest problems for the people. They're so focused on trying to get people to buy into them that they're doing themselves a disservice by doing that hard sell. Again, kind of take a step back, take in all the information that the individual is trying to give to you, and then use that as your starting point to have a conversation. Because otherwise, if you just start talking too much about yourself and not listening to that person, they're probably going to shut down and probably not really buy into you and give you the support that you're looking for.
So one of the things that I find interesting about the kind of the business decision that Accenture's taken with the JMO in particular is I've thrown you guys some O3s that have got company command under their belt, right? And they came to us in the Battle Buddy program completely convinced that they should have been like a senior manager, which is a pretty significant jump from where the initial point is for the JMO program, right? And even a couple of O4s. And when they came in as a 10, which is what, an associate consultant or something like that, or I don't know.
Senior analyst.
A senior analyst. And there was this moment of gratitude that they expressed to us of, oh my goodness, I thought I was hot shit. And then I got into Accenture. And after about 60 days, I realized that there was a lot of things I was really good at. And there was a lot of things I had zero understanding of. And I'm glad that this is the path that I'm taking on. And I know that I've sent you over some other field grade guys over the years that would get really pissed that, what do you mean I'm not going to come in as a manager, senior manager, managing director, or whatever? And, I remember you saying if they go down the AFS role path, maybe a little more suitable. But, when you get into the business, there's a whole new world of things that you just don't know. And this program, from what I've seen and got the feedback on for transitioning soldiers, has been very, very positive, that Accenture gave them the path to be successful once they get to that level of consultant. So, it can be a little deceptive from the outside when you play I got the bingo card covered 10 times over, right? When it looks at look at the requirements, but that's not necessarily the case of everyday practice. So.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, it's like drinking from a fire hose. It really is. There's so many things that you're learning on the fly. You're trying to understand how to have a conversation, how to engage with an organization that doesn't really get your background in that, and you're trying to really develop who you are. And so we know that that's a challenge at the beginning, but the reality is we've talked to so many senior managers, MDs that have kind of gone through that same route, and they agree in the fact that this gives them the ability to take a step back, actively listen, actively participate, really take in everything that's happening around them, understand who the key players are, figure out what their strengths are. But biggest thing is figure out what their weaknesses are, because if you figure out what your weaknesses are, you have a huge network of individuals around you who probably are strong in that area. Start working with those people, start developing yourself, and then start building your voice. That's what's going to allow you to become a strong consultant and move up through the chain. And that's something that Amberly and I talk about all the time, is we take a look at individuals that we've had throughout the years, and we just kind of see where they're at in their past. And you see the individuals that really, when we first talked with them, you feel like that they were going to be they were just trying to figure themselves out, and they took the conversations that we had with them. They took everything honestly and full-heartedly, and took it to a position of giving themselves that opportunity to come in, fully embrace everything that was available to them, and allow them to grow in a way where they are going to be probably very successful moving forward.
So I can give you a specific example of a friend of mine who's recently left Accenture. So I got him in the door under your student program. He was kind of upset that he had to come in as an 11, which, it's still a good living, don't get me wrong, but he was so overqualified, but he just wanted to get his foot in the door, right? So he recently left for one of the competitors and increased his salary in 3 years, 250% since then. So, that getting your foot in what'll happen is in 3 years, he'll circle back to Accenture and take another big promotion, right? And be back home. That's what almost always happens. So, sometimes you have to take a couple steps back to take a few steps forward. And I've personally seen this be very, very successful, because this guy 3 years ago, extremely raw, very rough around the edges. Chances are he's going to watch this and give me some hell about it, but whatever. I don't care. It's the truth. And if you would see how well he's polished now, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. So grumpy vet turned into polished business guy. It's just the way it is. So I think that one of the things too that I'd like to kind of have you guys go over is the path in the door, the path to have a good conversation with someone. If we could kind of few, good talking points on that, and then we can kind of wrap it up, unless you got some more stuff that you'd like to cover.
Amberly, you want to hit up on the entry level side? No, I'll talk about the experience side.
Yeah, go ahead first on the experience side, and then I'll go.
Okay. So experience side, like I said, everything is really dictated by location and opportunities available. So, I always love to tell people that I wish I was the very successful lady that's on TV that used to tell you to look under your chair and there's an offer for you, when in reality it just really comes down to what we have at that point in time. But the one thing I would highly recommend people to do is have an understanding of how you want to fit into the organization. Again, you can't just say I want to be consultant. It's just like somebody saying I want to be a soldier. What are you really trying to achieve, and then try to find that alignment within your organization. And if nothing is available for you at that point in time, set up the reminder on our career page and notifications. And if something was to come available, you can always reach out to us. So we have our U.S. Accenture military recruiting group on LinkedIn, and we have military careers at Accenture.com. You can always reach out to once you find a position. But again, what we're trying to do is just trying to find that right alignment. And then what we'll do as a team is work with you as an advocate, have that conversation, make sure that you meet the basic qualifications. Again, all basic qualifications have to be met. I know that there's an assumption out there, if you meet the majority, that you're good to go. No, it is all or none. So if you meet all of them, that's going to be key. And then again, how are you selling that you meet these qualifications? And so again, that's where that resume portion comes into play. But we can review, have that conversation, see if there is a fit. If there is that fit, we can go to the recruiting teams, get them in front of the decision makers, and hopefully get them into that interview process. You know, the interview process is constantly changing, but you know, typically you're going to have a screen. So you're going to talk about the position, explaining how you meet the basic qualifications. There might be a skills, conversation. So getting a little more in depth on problem solving. There might be a business case depending on some of the projects. So again, again, problem solving even more. And then like your confirming interview, again, why the organization that you're applying towards. One of the things I recommend to people, if they are interested in Accenture and they're not really finding what they're looking for, or if they're just trying to figure out, what are some of the areas they're getting lost in. We do a bi-weekly, and what I mean by every other week, because I know bi-weekly means so many different things to so many different people. But every other week we do a webinar series. It's about an hour-long call, and we talk about 3 key things. We talk about Accenture, because again, if you're interested in the organization, you need to know what you're looking into. We talk about our military recruiting team, because again, how do you use this effectively? And then number 3, and the most important portion, is strategy. How do you own up to the process itself? Because if you don't own any of the process, you're never going to have the success that you're looking for. So, I tell people all the time, you got to meet me halfway. So how do you get to that halfway point of being able to be ready to go into those conversations? And so if that's something you're interested in, you can always reach out to the military careers at Accenture.com, and I can get you an invite for those calls. So with that being said, that's really on the experience side. I'll throw it to Amberly for the entry level side.
So entry level it's almost like a complete opposite of that. You're not looking for that needle in the haystack. There are going to be a ton of roles across the company, across the U.S., based out of our different offices and markets. So the basic qualifications aren't that different for everybody. The problem is now you and everybody else have the same exact qualifications that we're looking for. So how are you going to be that one person that stands out compared to somebody else? So I always suggest making sure that your resume is well done, that you have everything on there that makes you stand out. What makes you different from somebody else coming in through these programs? So is it extracurricular activities? Is it one of the big things that we're looking for when we're looking for those entry level people coming in are people that want to be lifelong learners, people that are hungry, that want to try new experiences and new things, that aren't going to get stuck in the mud about one particular thing. So if you show interest in a few different things, if you show that you've taken on some leadership opportunities, I mean, think about it, just same thing with the military. Like, what is going to set you apart on that EPR? Like, show those little things that are going to show that you're hungry and you're ready to learn. So that's going to be my key takeaways for anybody coming in at the entry level point. But to do that, depending on where you're coming in, what program you want to come into, we're talking about campus programs, you have a few different avenues. You can either come through our team, you can come through your campus recruiting if you have an Accenture campus recruiter. We partner with a ton of different organizations that we regularly do job fairs with. So depending on what you're involved with in campus, there could be a few different avenues for you to get your face in front of recruiters. When it comes to our other programs, apprentice and junior military officer, those are going to be where you're reaching out to our team, that military careers at Accenture.com, making sure that you're connecting with us on LinkedIn and getting your resume in front of us. And the best place to go to learn more about these are going to be our Accenture.com/military site. You're going to learn more about the differences between each of those programs and how to get a hold of us.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's one thing I want to hit on that Amberly definitely hit on, agility, being agile. I think it's really important. And I think that's one of the best things that plays for veterans is we have that mentality to, just to have that agile kind of concept in play. And So when you talk to people about why they want to hire veterans so much, is because of that agile mindset. They don't want to be doing the same thing day in, day out. They're looking for different challenges. They want to challenge themselves. And it's nothing against other individuals, but there's a lot of people that go to school and they only want to focus on what they learned in that school, whereas that mentality is not the case. A lot of people will go to school from the military and say, okay, I learned something. I want to learn something else. You know, what else is out there? What else can I do? This sounds fun. Let me jump into this deep end and see if I can swim here or not. So that's why it's really important to sell that type of mentality, that you have that desire you're hungry for learning, but you have that ambition to really kind of align to the organization that you're applying towards.
So it's not a good idea to call up Tim Perry and say, I can do anything. What have you got for me?
Yeah, the jack of all trades, master of none scenario does not work for people.
Okay, if that's on your resume, you guys need to email it to Pete and set up a time to talk to him about a refresh and how that'll work for you. Okay, Sarah or Pete, do you guys have any questions for either of these two before we wrap it up here?
No, I think that was really good information, different career path for folks looking to get into things like consulting.
Yeah, I'm always impressed at the the direction that a person can go using Accenture as a springboard. I never thought of it. And there was a while when I was considering it, but then my business took off, so I decided to stick with this. But I was very intriguing, and a lot of things that are government related, vet related, almost. It's just some really good opportunities that you might be surprised at yourself as a vet that, wow, I can do that.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the one thing we didn't hit on tonight. We do have Accenture Federal Services, which is our federal affiliate. So if you do have that clearance that you're trying to keep active in that, they do have opportunities in DC, San Antonio, Texas, and then now St. Louis, Missouri, with their new technology center. So those are definitely out there. Accenture LLP is a global organization. We are across the globe, but our focus for our team is North America. So if you come to me and asking what's going on in the UK, I'll tell you I have no idea, other than there's fish and chips over there. So.
Hey, we did have one question in here. Where do you have to be in a specific area of the country for the apprenticeship program?
So yeah, the apprenticeship is based on location, but it does change throughout the course of the year. So we hire on a monthly basis, and so once that demand is filled, we go to the next. I think right now most of it is found in the Midwest, but we are starting to see more opportunities come up. But most of the apprentice hires that we're doing right now is for programmers, so software engineers. Again, those that are self-taught or going through the boot camps. That's where we're seeing most of our hires. Where we're starting to see some PMO type work come up as well. I think, in fact, Sacramento, California, where that's popping up.
Now that you cracked open the programming thing, Tim, you better throw out a couple languages that these guys are probably interested in that are hot right now.
Java is the one everybody looks for, but Python was HTML. Pretty much anything as long as you can learn one, you can learn them all. That's what I've been really kind of taught over the years, is that we can probably figure out how to train you in other ones. But again, it also depends on which market. With our what we call advanced technology centers, which is Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Berwyn, Pennsylvania. Those are probably some of the most agile workforces you'll ever work in, because they're constantly changing based on the client, which is really cool because they have to train you before they put you on the project. So if you go in knowing one, you're probably going to come out knowing 6 or 7.
Yep. Okay. All right. I think that's a wrap then. Appreciate you guys coming on tonight and sharing your input on how to get your foot in the door. At least a conversation started with one of you, and we're going to post this on LinkedIn tomorrow. So we'll have Tim and Amberly's contact on there. Amberly or Tim, do you mind if we throw it in here on the Facebook header?
Yep.
I'll do that as well. So feel free to contact them. I'll put Tim's home phone number up there for anybody that wants to reach out to him after hours.
867-5309. Yep, there you go.
So appreciate everybody watching this evening. Have a nice evening.